It's Attract the Panel Discussion. May I please request the moderator? May I please request moderator Mr. Arsh Lakhani? Can I please request Mr. Arsh Lakhani? Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Arsh Lakhani, the moderator of the A Man with Maggie Hair.
Can I have the mic, please? Hello. Hey, thank you guys so much for coming. It's such a pleasure to have all of you over here. So like Mr. Ganesh Natarajan said rightly, our session is divided into 3 parts: attract, enable, and retain. The first part of the session, attract, I'll be inviting the 4 of our panelists on stage. So first of all, a man that needs no introduction at all, Mr. Puneet Kansal, founder of Mania. Can you please have a round of applause? Sir, can you please come up on stage? Yeah? Mr. Mohit Bansal, the AVP Marketing for Zozo Day. Can you please come up on stage, sir? Mr. Amit Bhosale, a very good friend of mine. Sir, can you please come up on stage as well? And of course, Mr. Chitiz, sir, please, can we have you on stage as well? Sorry? Can we have the other mic on the stage as well? Nice to have you guys. Right. So this session is majorly focused on how you as entrepreneurs, as HR leaders, are now focused on attracting talent to your company. So in terms of the panel, the way I'd like to start this off is to sort of create a foundation and to sort of get into it saying that sort of, your journey that's been through, at least in the HR perspective as a CEO, and sort of what are the challenges you faced up until this point. So if Mr. Puneet, can we start with you?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to tell you, after listening Ganesh sir, I'm so glad I'm not from IT industry, and I'm so glad I don't belong to an industry where work from home is possible. Because otherwise, so I'm so glad, I'm so blessed to, after hearing him, I belong to an industry where work from home is not at all possible. I come from a background, in common language, you can say a restaurant background. I have got a brand called Mania, which is right now all over country. We have got 120 plus stores all over India. And our whole work is based on the blue collar employees, and we do have certain employees who are our top management who come from a good background, but most of our employees are from blue collar background. So to answer the question asked by Harsh, I would say we focus more on the existing people who joined us initially, and we share the vision. Because when I started the brand with my partners, the whole concept was we want to build a international brand who is grown out of our homeland. That's our vision. And that is a vision what we are sharing with our team, which we are sharing with the people who are coming from not so fortunate background what we all have come from. They don't know how to speak, they don't know how to cut their nails, they don't know how to wear clothes and all. That's all we are teaching them, and we are giving them a dream ki boss, you can also reach somewhere. You can have a life for your family, you can have a life for yourself. That's all we are doing them, and I would say that's the best thing we could ever done, because that is why they are like you. Yes, we want to work with them. It's not that I'm just doing 9 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours shift. It's just like I'm going to learn also while working with this organization. That's what we are focusing on more.
That's great, that's great. Mr. Chitiz, do you want to go ahead and continue on this?
See, honestly, after listening to Mr. Ganesh, I'm not sure if you guys want to hear us or not. But anyways, we'll try. So attract, as you know, in IT industry, I would say this time it's a nightmare. There's a cutthroat competition. Every one of you must be aware, right? I would say my company, just with the size of 250 people, we have 30 recruiters in the company, just for 250 people. Because what we have found is, it's especially I'm from Salesforce domain, and Salesforce, I'm not sure how many of you are aware, is the most niche technology, or the most, the least resources available in the market. So the only way how we can achieve that is, to like get more and more HRs, get more and more recruiters. कि भाई आपका टारगेट है 2 लोग तो ले आओ कम से कम कंपनी में, राइट? सो इट्स अ वेरी डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ अप्रोच. Many people say you are spending a lot of money in terms of putting so many recruiters, but I think that's working for us. So that's what I can say.
So from IT again. So Zozo did a little background, and you see why a marketer is sitting on a stage. So we build products for all the people in the room. So we have conversations with HR managers, HR folks, CHROs across. So with Zozo Day, we are a SaaS product and platform, and we face this. We're the center of Bangalore, right? So we face this problem, every day. So the way we have taken things, again, it's not a black and white, but the only way to win this game is not to play the game, right? Change the game. So we're looking for long-term players. We talk about the problem statement. We expose our learning materials even in the pre-joining phase, right? When they're evaluating us. If we feel that, it's because one thing which you've seen that, and especially in the tech industry, right? If they're the people who are switching too fast, they're looking for the money chase, as Ganesh sir mentioned, right? That actually leads to higher attrition later as well, because they create inefficient leaders themselves, right? Because they are not selflessly giving themselves to their teams. So again, what we are trying to do is, with our efforts, we are trying to, look for the long-term players, try to make it very purpose and problem statement driven. So in tech, you can make that, hey, this is the problem we're trying to solve, and this is the boundary of the problem we're looking at. So that's been our attracting, for Mantra until now. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Okay. Thank God I'm not from the, IT background as well, Ganesh. So I come from a BPO background and working with Global Talent Track as a director of operations. I'm proud to say that in this pandemic we have grown big time. Double the size what we were earlier. Okay, and why we were able to do it, like Ganesh has already said, why we were able to do it is, when we are looking for right sort of employees in our organization. We ensure that we put, everything on the platter for them and be very crystal clear when we are hiring them. Like for example, I've worked with Accenture, I've worked with Infosys earlier. With Tech Mahindra for almost 8 years I've worked with, and the culture over there, the infrastructure over there is totally different. Okay, but in our organizations, we really know. I mean, we are very passionate and we are doing really very well, but we don't have that sort of infrastructure. So, for example, we put this when we are hiring, when we are hiring right resources, we are putting this across, in front of the we are putting it across, and we are very upfront and open and honest when we are hiring right sort of talent, and we are very crystal clear and what we have and what we can offer. And that has really helped us in terms of our attrition percentage, because we only offer what we can deliver. And yes, the goals are pretty much clear. We also ensure that we set right, we put it across. When we are hiring, we set right goals in front of them. What vision that company has. And yes, according to that, we hire right sort of. That's really help us to grow and keep the attrition in control for the organization. Thanks.
That's a great insight. So audience, the way we're going to be doing this panel, and the reason why we have this sort of a panel over here is because we have, startup industries, we have sort of mid-cap level industries, we have somebody from the food industry as well. So we want to sort of bring out the different sort of problems that they are currently facing and then move on to the solutions that they currently have. So Amit, if I may continue, the other day I think Chitiz and I were speaking with Dr. Ganesh as well. And, he mentioned, and obviously you spoke a little bit. So if I may ask you to shed a little more light on sort of what's your secret sauce, and Sir mentioned that, he's a bit of a talented guy in attracting talent. So if I could ask you to shed a little more light in exact sort of, not only the solutions that have worked, but also shed a little light on the solutions that maybe haven't worked for you.
Well, what has really worked for me as a operations guy, and to ensure that every dots are connected is my personal experience. I come from a very small place called Miraj, which is close to Sangli. And, 15 years before I came to Pune, looking for a job and looking for a career, Then many challenges came across in terms of communication as well. I'm not saying that I'm an excellent in terms of communication, but I can handle my client and handle my business very well now. But it was not there at the when I started my journey. Started my just a BCom graduate. Started my journey as an associate in call center. Started my journey with Wipro BPO, and then passionate about growth. I want to ensure that I take care of my family, and that journey. Then I started working with Tech Mahindra. Then realized that what exactly as an employee and what exactly a new fresher is looking at when he's joining an organization. Then got promoted as a team coach, then operations manager, and now director of operations. I think my personal journey really helps me when I'm talking to a new employee, and that is how I have built my team. With my personal experience, and I ensure that I know very well what exactly a fresher is looking at, and that is how a team has been built in my organization. Because I strongly believe that if you want to attract talent and if you want to achieve your goal, you need to have right sort of people who can go and do that job properly. So I think my personal experience has really worked here, and that is how I have coached and made my team very strong, and they really are doing this job. Are really doing these things possible for me.
That's a great insight. Thank you, Mr. Amit. So Chitiz, if I may, recently, yesterday, Economic Times released a study that says 70% of the HRs that are working in your own company are unhappy. Right. So, in your opinion, do you think that is sort of one of the reasons why it's becoming a bit of a challenge attracting talent, because your in-house hiring team is unhappy in itself?
Right. So yes, of course, and this is of course a study. It's not my study, but as the study says, 70% of the HRs are not happy, and one of the major reasons is the pressure. And this is not their fault. It's the whole culture fault, where every company has this fight of growth. As Mr. Ganesh said, we need to keep on hiring people. We need to keep on backfilling people. So I would say HR previously was more all-inclusive, but now it's more transactional, where the only thing we talk about HR is, how many hirings are there, why this person is, asking so much salaries and all those things. So that's why somewhere, we forget about the well-being of HR as well, right? And that's why what we have done in our company is, to bring fun in the company, what we do is every Friday or every alternate Friday, we have this pizza party, we have this beer party as well, once in a month, just to have some fun. We try to tell them, I know boss, it's okay, you can only do certain things and we are with you. We try to make them inclusive, we try to make them comfortable, and that's where they are able to perform. So at least in our company, we are making sure that, HRs are one of the strong pillars, to attract the talent and also retain them.
Right. So now that you've been doing this, these sort of solutions that you've implemented, has that made an effect on the sort of output that your HRs are delivering now to you?
So yeah, so see, one of the practice what we do is staff op, right? Which means we provide people to other companies like Accenture, TCS, Wipro, and all, right? And what I've seen is I actually got a call from HCL senior head. I got a call from MD of Accenture. I got a call from multiple people, and they said, "Boss, आप लोग कैसे hire कर रहे हो? मतलब we have an army of HRs, right? And we are not able to fulfill 100 jobs in a month, and you are hiring 50, 60 people in a month. How are you doing that?" And that's why I said, I don't have that senior HRs, but what I have with them is the culture. What I have with them is the passion कि करना है, and they do that. So what I feel is it's all about how you, if you ask somebody ये चाहिए मेरे को तो नहीं होगा. But if you say let's do it together, then it happens. They actually do it as their own company.
Thank you. Puneet, if I may just ask you a few questions here. Obviously, the whole work from home culture, and that's something that can be implemented in industries like theirs. But in an industry like yours, work from home is something that is not possible, right? So in your opinion, how have you sort of managed it throughout at least this time, and how are you managing it now?
So basically, as you said, I'm not sure if what I'm going to say is the correct data or not, but I believe only 5 to 10% jobs in the world can be managed through work from home. For rest 90-95%, everybody needs to get out of their comfort zone. They have to go offices, they have to go their workplaces, and they do work. For example, it's easy to say to us okay, fine, these days we can even order food online. We can do even shopping online. Like we are sitting at home and we can do whatever. But think about those people who are making this possible for all of us. Like people who are working inside a restaurant. A delivery guy who's running throughout, whether it's a rain, it's a garmi or whatever it is, no matter what the weather is, they are making things possible for you. Think about those, you are fine, we are doing shopping online, but think about, you know, the warehouses where stocks is kept, the manufacturing unit where the manufacturing is happening, and then the transportation, supply chain is happening. So all those jobs are not possible through work from home. So personally, we haven't faced this kind of challenge, but as Ganesh sir said, like process is important. No matter in which organization you are, which sector you are, processes are important. So what I believe personally, what we have been doing, just focusing on our people, focusing their basic need. We are not a company who are offering attractive salary or attractive packages to the people. We are the company, we are a people's company. We believe like if we can meet out their basic need, basic expectation, they are going to stick with us. And even in restaurant industry, in food industry, like you might be seeing, वो restaurant का chef change हो गया, quality खराब हो गई, उसका वो change हो गया, ये खराब हो गया. We haven't faced that much, to be very frank, because we are process-oriented organization. Our entire focus is on, you know, meeting the basic requirement of our people and giving them comfort, giving them security. Ki, yes, you belong to us and we belong to you. That's it.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll come to this with you as well. Mohit, so Zozo, it's a bit of a startup company, right? So in that case, and I know this is a bit of a sore topic for you, but that's why the reasons why I want to start with somebody who's from a startup, to come and say that, you know, for example, Glassdoor reviews, right? So when you're trying to attract talent to a startup, right, then the reason why I chose the both of you for this question is because it's a startup level company versus an enterprise level company, right? So from a branding perspective or from a reviews perspective, do you think is it that important when you're hiring talent to have that good of a review chain on Glassdoor or something like that?
Of course, right. I think the difference between this is that the startup employee, he's looking for autonomy, right? He's looking for the freedom in the everyday decisions he can make. And he wants to get the glimpse before even joining. You know, he wants to look at the truth. Amazon reviews got us the habit of truth, right? So Glassdoor reviews are very, very important. And the way we are also trying to do is we are also setting up, you know, one-on-one sessions in the pre-joining, you know, with the cross-functional teams, right? Hey, you know what? You want to see who wrote this review? You want to connect with this guy? It's even possible at that level. So Glassdoor reviews are very good, and you know, we also have encourage in our company that, hey, if you're sending me an email about thanking me about a policy, can you even put it out there for the other people as well? So it's worked in our referral cases as well. So it's a source of truth. For sure, it's worked very well for us.
I see, and I would argue on this with you, but I'm sure Chitiz will. So I'm just going to let him continue on this as well.
So actually, I have a very different opinion on Glassdoor. You know, like, so for example, what I've seen is, let's say you take a SpiceJet flight, right? And they give you a specialized coffee. Sure. They give you like maybe priority seating. Sure. Do you ever go and put a positive review for them? Never. Right. But for whatever reason, your coffee delayed by 30 minutes. You know, the first thing you land and you put off the airplane mode, the first thing you do is put a review. Correct. Right? So same thing, what I have seen is Glassdoor, and I hope there is no one from the Glassdoor team here. But what I have seen is Glassdoor is a place to, you know, अपनी भड़ास निकालने की जगह है, you know, कि कंपनी ने ऐसा कर दिया, कंपनी ने ये नहीं किया, कंपनी ने वो नहीं किया. So honestly, and this is very truth, even for my company, I only get negative reviews because ये नहीं हुआ, okay? And every company hire a PR company to put a positive review. You know, that's a unfortunate truth of every company, that no one puts a positive review, and unfortunately everyone, as you rightly said, check the reviews before joining the company. Correct. So we have to make sure we maintain that. Correct. You know, either you bribe employees to put the review, or you hire a company. That's what I feel.
So just to add to that point, right? So I completely get that, and the same case is happening with us also. When a disengaged or a unhappy employee goes and puts a review there. So I think the way you handle that also, you know, and again, it's been seen across the industries in customer service as well, shows about your company, right? And you know, again, I understand that when irate customer writes a review and not a happy customer writes it, but you know, internally, can you create that process of that, hey, you know, can you talk to the world? And we've been able to do that, right? Like when you talk about something good, can you speak around it as well? And how you handle a negative review. I think that's, again, as you agreed, I agree with you that it's the game we are part of, right? So we'll have to play the game, yeah.
Right. So, if I may, for just 1 minute, and obviously we'll have the session opened up for Q&A later on. So, if I could just take any one question from the audience on this particular point, because we have two very contradictory points over here as well. So, is there anybody who would like to add on this from the audience?
So, for a Glassdoor, what we are doing, that those who are getting awarded in the company or getting recognition, they're also asking them to put their name.
Exactly.
So, instead of hiring PR company,
Exactly.
we're actually nominating our own people
Right.
to do that. So, it's more like, it is more touching to the hearts of the people.
Sir, I did that because CEO has asked us to put a review. That's why I'm putting it. So that is a truth,
So here we are saying that, okay, publicize yourself,
Right.
to the company.
Right.
So what we are doing is social media, like if you are getting something, you are showing, okay, I got this. So we are saying that show that. So it is either on LinkedIn or Glassdoor.
Right.
That is how we are doing. Not we are saying that praise about the company. We
Right.
don't want.
No, that's completely true, and we love to have employees. I hope we make that employees, that much. We are able to fulfill all their demands. We are able to make them happy where they put the positive reviews. That's the whole idea, and that's why we have all these other badges like Great Place to Work, which is I feel still very ethical. Where they actually put some real reviews and all. So we also take that part of the practice. As a matter of fact, we are one of the Great Place to Work. But yeah, that's a true statement. We always keep on motivating people to put reviews, but unfortunately, sometimes we have to, take a side route.
Interesting. Just if I may continue with you for a minute, we've heard this sort of issue that employee आता है बोलता है कि यार I want to work with a big name company, right? And then they'll start, and as I'm sure Mr. Natarajan said as well, I mean, they want to go and work for a big name company, and that's why sort of companies put that money into infrastructure and branding. So, in your opinion, have you faced that issue where branding is not at the point where you want it to be when you're attracting talent?
So, in our specific case, we've not faced that issue because we've been here for almost a decade now. We're still growing at 100% year-on-year growth. So, we've not seen that bit. But when they compare us to a bigger name, right, and then we try to just find out if they are even looking at the right place. Are they looking to work with a startup? Are they looking for a high growth, outcome-driven role rather than output or other different kind of a role? So they might be misfit, they might not be looking for it, but we do not feel any problem of branding as such. Okay. We have not faced that much because of our time in the...
All right, thank you. Right, Mr. Amit, we've sort of seen a bit of a shift from full-time employees to contracting to now part-time employees. So if you could shed a bit of a light on how much of a difference does it make, and what sort of direction the industry is moving into? Or I'm sure Chitiz will add to that as well later on, considering what Bench does. But sort of in your opinion, contractors or part-time employees or full-time employees, what is your sort of perspective on that?
Well, if I talk about my organization, we have a mixture of full-time employers and contractual employees. 60% of the employees are contractual employees because that makes us easy and to run the business and the financials in the right directions. Because what happens, nowadays there is a lot of attrition, and we want to hire right sort of people. So what we do is we hire employees in the contractual roles. After spending some time with them in the organization, we come to know that have we hired right sort of talent? Is this employee is a right contractual employee is a right fit for the organization? That gives us some time, to take a call on which sort of talent has to be moved to full-time employees. So I think that has really worked for us. And yes, we are not saying that after 6 months of contract, after 1 year of contract, we are going to end your contract and you can look for different opportunities. Not. We invest same sort of time which we do on full-time employees on the contractual employees as well. Give them a helping hand to come to the next level from an operations end. And yes, if the contractual employee is really capable and if he really wants to grow with the right attitude, yes, we take them on a full-time employee. So this is the strategy that we usually follow.
And Puneet, I'll come to you in a minute. But Chitiz, do you want to shed some light on this?
See, honestly, and of course we have a whole session about that as a closing keynote, and Mr. Anand Deshpande is going to speak about that. But just to give you a gist, I think sometime back I heard, like the game is changing, and we have to be part of the change, right? So what I've seen is, like slowly this whole ecosystem is shifting from a full-time employees to a gig-based economy, like a gig-based side or contractor side of it, right? Like for example, previously people used to hire a driver, now they just take Ola. Previously people used to go to a restaurant, now they just order, so everything is like very short term, Previously they used to hire a contractor for a whole day, now they just go to Urban Clap and just say, ki boss mere darwaza theek kar do, right? So the whole thing is shifting a lot, so I feel that the same shift is also happening in IT world, where I feel the company has to rethink, like, do they really need a full-time employee for a project which will come after 3 months, or should they rather have a pool of resources ready for them whenever the work comes? So I firmly believe contractor is much more better than a full-time employee. That's my perspective.
Very interesting. So the reason why I stopped was because, and this will come, I'm sure, in the retention session as well. But don't you think that sort of degrades company culture, where you're just continuously just picking up employees and employee trading in day out?
Right. So see, this is like an IPL, right? So when you form an IPL team, you are taking people from different countries, right? They have their own culture. West Indies team have their own culture. Sri Lankan team has their own culture. But when you bring them to an IPL, let's say Mumbai Indians, they bring them to that culture. So that's the goal of their coach. That's the goal of, that's a whole purpose of how we do that. So same thing we're doing here. For example, if I'm deploying 10 people from my company to, let's say, SDFC Bank, or to HCL, it's up to me how I am able to make that culture, how to make that, remote working. Even with the remote working, they are motivated, they are respected, they are not felt like a contractor, let's abuse them, how we maintain that, that's what we are doing. So that's our secret sauce, that's how we are doing it.
Very interesting. So Puneet, if I may, this was a sort of a special request from the audience before we started the session. And one of the people said that, do people follow leaders or do people follow packages? And this was directed towards you. So if I want to take your opinion on this, what would you say?
I would say people follow who they want to follow, because 90% of us, we are just followers. Right. So only few people have the leadership trait. So I would say yes, people do follow leaders.
Amit, do you want to add to that?
I totally agree. People do follow leaders because paisa to aata jata rahega, but a leader who invests times and who helps others to grow, that is something that a leader leaves behind. So I do totally agree with you that leaders follow leaders.
But then, in my opinion, is if at least in the industry shift that we've seen at the moment, and half of I think Ganesh Natarajan sir's speech was focused towards that as well, where people are now so focused on moving towards the money, where the leadership and everything else is counted as a second criteria, right? So I'm sure some of you have faced that issue, and I'm sure everybody in the audience has also faced that issue, where yaar banda aata hai package ke liye, but then he's saying that yaar abhi nahi ho raha mere se, to I'll leave and go. So it's not, is it the leadership that is failing on that end, or is it sort of that how long will you keep increasing the packages and how do you retain that talent then?
नहीं, बंदा आता है पैसे के लिए, that's really very true. But बंदा जाएगा पैसे के लिए is what we really have to think as leaders. In my organization, बंदा of course पैसे के लिए आया है, but I have to ensure that I invest time and create an impact on him in terms of leadership, in terms of my leadership. Then वो बंदा जा किस reason से रहा है, that totally depends. So I totally agree with you that employee follow leaders.
Great. So I think that's all the time we have for the Attract panel. At the moment, we're going to be opening it up for a 10-minute Q&A. So if somebody could please go around with the mic so that the audience could ask the right questions. And you can take one of the mics from the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is directed towards Mohit. So at the beginning, you said that you work with your HR team to figure out who all are the long-term players. So what are the steps that you're taking to figure out in the initial stages to see who all are the long-term players and who are not, who are willing to stay with you or who is not?
Right. So Again, you can choose to disagree with me, but this is my personal opinion that high negotiators are short-term players. If you're negotiating too much at the start, you are looking at this in short term. So that's a signal for us that, you know, if someone's trying to be each and every, again, I'm not saying that should not be discussed, but if you're trying to be heavy negotiating, that means you're a short-term player, right? Again, the other thing which we try to do is we expose our learning and development plan in the pre-joining and the evaluation stage itself. We try to understand from them, and we set up a one-on-one weekly things in the evaluation stage, once a week catch up, where we try to understand, are they understanding the problem statement? Are they understanding the space we are in? Right? So that also showcases the long-termness. Again, it's a qualitative factor. I'm not able to give you a qualitative metric for this, but I would say a month period when they're thinking of the joining date and they're evaluating, then if you can assign 4 different leaders from your company, from cross-functional team, to spend 30 minutes with them every week about the exposure they've got from the exposed learning and development plan as well. So that's something which is working well for us.
Hello, sir. My question is, there was a discussion that people get attracted towards the packages. So being into this industry, basically a finance industry, somebody is going to pay more than what we are offering to how to solve that problem. You have, when you want to bring a good resource, you need to attract them with money. So somebody is going to pay more than what we are paying. So what's the solution for that?
I'll take a dig at this first, right? So this happens quite a bit, you know, and good people who look like a long-term player, they might this thing it as well. The way we look at it is, can we delay the gratification, right? Can we split it as per the quarters and things like that? Because if the performance is coming in, I'm sure the value will be proven, right? Again, to the point which you also made, right? Like in SaaS, we say there's some features which customers come for and some features they stay for. So they come for the packages, but in the 3 months, you make them stay for the tenet of the culture thing, right? So to answer your question, what I am looking to negotiate with them, I will delay the gratification over the certain time, and then I'm very happy to give it to them if they prove themselves, right?
Thank you.
I would say like it's very tough. You know, like see, we are still very small, but I have seen, like, I was keep on checking LinkedIn. You know, so I saw, you know, I just completed my 20 years in Intel and now moving to Facebook. You know, if a person after 20 years in Intel moving to Facebook for monetary reason, you know, so if the Intel kind of company cannot hold the talent, you know, if Facebook is losing people to Google, if not, so I think as of today, it's all money game. You know, unfortunately, it's a hard truth. It's a money game as of now. You have to play with it. But maybe in a couple of years, it will change. You know, so there has been times, you know, where people were not, you know, paid well, and of course that was the issue. These days, people are overpaid, and that's also an issue. So, you know, it's a phase which will pass. So we have to play along. That's what I feel.
But then his expectation was 7.5. We offered him 10, but still he didn't turn up. So what's the solution for this? We faced this like 5 to 6 times.
My question would be to you, why did you offer 10 when their expectation was 7.5?
Because he was really good. He was really good and we didn't want to lose him. Also, he was going to join us within like a week. And
maybe you just raised his expectation bar. He was like, oh wow, I'm getting 10 instead of 7.5. I might be having something extra in me. Maybe possible.
That's true. But then, I don't know, when you are already getting a good package, above your expectation, I don't think most of the companies, they offer how much you're expecting. But then when we are expecting more than your expectations, what goes wrong? I'm still trying to figure out this point.
See, I'm sure we can speak all over it. Like, okay, one of the reason we are conducting this session, you know, this whole conference is we are facing this challenge, right? And most of you are. And we did a lot of brainstorming. And I would say we are still a small team of HRs. So we said, why not ask, call people, have them pay, and help us solve this problem, So that was the whole idea putting this together. So let's all brainstorm towards it, right? One of the easiest way of doing it, not easiest, but a practical way of doing it is, if we can have some kind of like a common platform where we can have we have visibility in terms of what a person is, equal pay kind of thing, how much a person should be paid at what level, and we all can follow that. I know it's very hard to implement that, but if we can have like a common structure in place across all the companies, so that it's a cutthroat fight, but we don't try to cut from each other. So if we have a common platform where we know, a person of Java developer at 3 years experience should get 7 lakhs. And that's the base. No one should, go above that, and that's like a bar. We should set up a bar, and if anyone goes against it, we should ban them or something. So that's one way of doing it. But that's very hypothetical, what I can say. But anyone from the audience want to answer that? I'm more than happy to them. Yeah. Right.
We just want the skill set. So if the skill set is there, we hire. We said fine. After a year, when I met the CEO of the company, he was actually holding his head in his hands, and he said, we did go ahead and we did hire all the numbers we wanted to, but see the scenario today after a year. They were all youngsters. Some of them were going to get married. Some of them had got married. So after a year, they started coming back to the CEO, and he said, I need this kind of a raise because I'm getting married. I want a house. I want a car. He said, where are they talking of their deliverables? They're all talking of their needs. So when did the salaries get decided by the needs? They should be decided by what you deserve. I said, this was the reason why I was telling you, why aren't you looking at attitude assessment? Why aren't you looking at behavior assessment? So then he understood. But then on a larger scale, I would say that IT looks at skill sets as commodities taken, which people have. So somewhere this outlook, this mindset needs to change even from the business owners in that space.
Great point. Great point, yeah.
Thank you.
Right now, what I believe is there's a generation gap where the time period when we were working, we were kind of people, we had morality, we had ethics, and we would pursue those things above money or above everything. We would, try to continue to be with an organization at least for 2 years just because we have promised them and to work with them. But with today's generation, that shift has happened. When we were young, we did not have technology, we did not have all those sources, and these things were incorporated into us. But today that is not the case. They have everything easily available, and they think that yes, if I have the skills, why shouldn't I get it? So they do not follow those morals and ethics that we used to. And being said that, we still want people, today's generation, the youngsters, to do what we used to do. Either we were cool or they are cool. Right? So the generation is changing, the time is changing, and we must accept it and change with it. If we want to stick to the old days, it is not going to happen.
Agreed. No, great point. Great point. Right.
What I feel is the company should also understand what the personal goals are of an organization. Sometimes organizations feel that it's very hard for them to let go of talent. So if you are not able to meet the personal goals, like everyone's personal goal changes, and they have milestones in their life where they want to go, what they want to achieve. If a person is younger, maybe they are hungry to learn more. Once they grow, then they feel that they need more money. When they grow, they want to maybe become a leader. So is your organization, does your organization have that platform to meet their personal goals? So the organizational goal and the personal goal should meet. If you do not have that for that particular individual, why we should just let them go? It's good for the organization as well as the individual.
I think you are correct on this part. If the personal goal and our organization goals are not meeting up, we should let them go. But I'm sure the candidate will approach us and he'll be like, sir, I want to go because I'm not, my goals and your goals are not meeting, so you better let me go. So yeah, that makes sense.
So, it's good, like we have very interactive session, and please keep that. That's how no one falls asleep in the back, back. Yeah, please, go ahead.
The question is to Puneet. He has mentioned that meeting the basic needs is equally important when we are attracting talent. So how to evaluate those basic needs, because you are hiring on the different levels. For everybody, basic needs would be different. And probably at specific stage, those basic needs would become probably needs have already been fulfilled and person is looking for new aspiration. So would those basic needs change every time in 6 months, probably every 2 years?
I would say that's an amazing question. I would love to answer that. So when we hire, as I said, we hire on a different level. So that level defines the need to some extent. For example, if we are hiring blue collar employees, so we know they don't have a good space to live. They don't have a good right to have a nutritional food. We know they don't have a good clothes to wear. So those are the basic need what we are giving them. When we teach them, when we get even their haircut, we as an organization we pay for our employees haircut as well, because they are coming from chota gaon and all villages who are not so educated. So we are taking care of even that need. So they are like, oh fine, this is how my hairs are cut, this is what I'm wearing, oh wow, now I'm smart. So these are the basic need at that level. When I'm hiring on the next level, let's say, then we never give value to the skill set. Okay, we give value to the eagerness to learn. Because if that person has the right attitude, they have an eagerness to learn, skill set can be acquired. But if I'm hiring someone who's already skilled, he has got already a lot of problems, a lot of attitude. He's not going to stay with me forever or even for a longer time. So we give importance, oh fine, this is a new candidate, he wants to learn, they are confident enough to learn. So that's their basic need. Give them an opportunity to learn. Let them try out, whatever they want to try out. Maybe it would be at your expense, but one day that person will be worth. I'll give you one example of my initial days of my career. When the time when I used to have only single store in Magapata city, and it was I personally used to handle the store as a store manager. So there was one guy, he was working inside kitchen at the Mori, at the utensil washing area, right? He was working over there. He came to me, कि सर मुझे आपकी तरह बनना है. मैंने कहा जियाउल बेटा मतलब what do you mean कि तुम्हें मेरी तरह बनना है? मतलब मुझे आपकी तरह जैसे आप कस्टमर हैंडल्स करते हैं मुझे वैसा करना है. मैंने कहा आप कर सकते हो? बोला हाँ सर मैं 8 तक पढ़ा हुआ हूँ मैं कर सकता हूँ. मैंने कहा ओके. I took him up, I started training him little bit, and today that person is handling at least 20 stores for me. So it's all up. So this was his aspiration, and my job as a leader was to support his aspiration. Thank you.
Hi, this is a question for Chitiz, Puneet and Mohit. So we more about enabling and retention. Let's come back to our original topic, which is attraction, okay, attracting the right talent. So my question as a leader in one of my companies, because I'm the talent acquisition head of my company, the main issue is to attract the passive candidates for me. Okay, because when it comes to Naukri.com, even LinkedIn, the whole chaos is there, right? I don't want those candidates. What about those candidates who are still sleeping, who want to change, but that thing is not there in their mind? So I want to ask 3 of you, in fact, all 4 of you, that what kind of steps are you taking from marketing point of view in order to attract or to wake up those passive candidates so that they come to know about your company and you are at the top of their head?
So I'll take a dig at this first, and this has been our problem, and you correctly said this passive lot is way enricher and way better overall to how to attract them. So one thing which we've been successfully able to do it is convince our management to invest their time in thought leadership. And I'm not saying thought leadership as a thrown around word. We expect them to write their own blogs. We expect them to write their experience. The CTO, writes about what kind of practices are they following, what kind of a polycloud automation that they're looking for in the future. A CEO. So we expect, and this become public. So we're trying to give an exposure about how it feels like to be an organization on these platforms like LinkedIn and other places. So people are passively consuming that information, right? So that's one thing which is working very well for us. Making our leaders write about their experiences. One of the person who reports to me complete 3 months, and he wrote a blog about that. How his experience was, right? So such things really help to get the passive guys sit on the fence with it. And when the time comes, you can speak to them. That's one thing which I could think of, and others can add.
So why do you want to, like, agar company mein kaam kar raha karne do na, why you want to hire them? But there is an example, like I have a friend who runs a company in Kochi, right? So he was running it for almost like 7-8 years and it going very well. He was a sales for shop, and then suddenly a big MNC launched in Kochi. I have not taken the name. And the first thing they did was they offered each and every employee of that company. So 200 people, they offered each and every one of them. Ki boss, wahan pe aapko itna mil raha hai, yahan pe aa jao, right? So of course, they had a lot of iteration, they were able to hire. So how to attract them? We have multiple ways, like, we have the database, we can run the drip campaign on them. Just every week unko dal do ki get 50% appraisal, get this, get that. You will start getting inbound, कि उनको needs दिखा दो कि भाई क्या क्या आप ले सकते हो. We are giving a BMW X3, if you join within these days, so you can give the lucrative offers, right? But my only point is, like, companies have actually started doing that, and I am against that, that they are actually going towards कि आपके यहाँ ठीक है, like पुनीत के स्टोर में जो बंदा अच्छा काम कर रहा है, सबसे पहले मैं वही हायर करूँगा, बाकी बाद में हायर करूँगा, right? So I think we should not do that. Let's respect other companies. That's what I feel.
I would personally say कि we should not touch the passive base. Like somebody who doesn't want to work, and if you're forcing them, or even someone who hasn't seen the dream, and you're showing them some dream which is not aligning with their dream, sooner or later they are not going to be yours. That's what my personal views are.
Just to add to this, and I agree with both the gentlemen here, that it's actually, you can't game word of mouth too much, right? Like it's actually passive guys will look for the word of mouth, and the way you can, instead of increasing that, what you can do is actually check the pulse of your company. Right? If that is correct, if you do, one-on-one feedbacks or different surveys, that will get communicated anyways to the passive guys as well. So you should not do any active things. So the first thing which I also spoke about, we're not actively doing that, but it's more about communicating what's actually happening on ground. So can you show that to the outside world? That's it.
Hello. So I have a question for Puneet. So Puneet, first of all, congratulations. You have created a wonderful brand in India in the food sector. It's very difficult, I understand that. I have a question, say, once you create a brand, you can have a team. Whatever you want, you can hire that. But first of all, creating a core team, maybe directors, founders, or the partners, and some people who you feel that these are the great people, and if I take that people, the company can be great. So I would like to know how you judge that and how you take that decision. Who should you hire? Who should you have as a partner? Or who should you take on this journey?
I think creating a core team is, it's like when we say in love or when we say in a marriage, when you know it. You get that feel, you get that vibe from the person, and it just aligns. That's what generally happens, because even when you are like 3 friends, doesn't matter you are the best friend, doesn't matter you can be best business partner. These are 2 different things. But 3 best business partner can definitely be a 3 best friends. So it's all about vibe and feeling. Like initial days when I used to hire, when I was trying to hire the one person, when I was all alone, one person who will do the cooking job for me, with me on my kiosk. Okay. So I used to, go on, I used to roam around in the entire city. I used to go from one restaurant to another place, to another thela, to another shop, to another kiosk, and just tell them कि मेरे को कुछ start करना है. Do you have any friends who wants to work? Even I wanted to attract that guy. कि this guy is cooking good. But I didn't want to tell him कि boss, I value you so much. Because I don't want that guy to have the attitude on me, or he's believing me or trusting me. So I always used to offer him that this is what I'm willing to pay. This is what my budget is. I'm looking for someone. That's how I hired, initial team. And as far as the question is concerned for my partners, I would say it just happened. It was supposed to happen, it happened. That's like you two meet and you vibe and you gel and you are like, oh wow, we can do it together.
Hi, Rashmi here. My question is for Mohit. Sorry, I'm going back to the earlier discussion. You said whenever you are hiring a new person, you have, during the notice period, you tell your leaders to have one-on-one session during the evaluation process. So you mentioned that you can appoint 4 leaders and have once a week session. So do you not take that risk of, overselling yourself? Because if you see, today's generation is highly empowered and they are also very fast in changing their opinions. And एक बार अगर doubt आ जाए, तो, because I come from a very small organization and I have been practicing this when I had joining attrition, a very high attrition rate. So the only thing I used to do is, give them an in-person call, just ask, how are you doing? How is the handover process going on? So that's the way to keep in touch. But do you think that it also has a risk of, overselling ourselves and again losing to the same problem?
No, I completely agree with you, and I can see it's in your experience that you have faced this, because I have faced this as well. So to iterate, we have set up not like a process which has to happen every time, but it's an option available to the person. And the temperament when the leader goes on the call is to understand that, hey, is there anything I can help you with? Is there anything I can help you make a better decision? Right? So if you're trying to go with a bias, hey, that you have to join the company, that will not work. So I completely agree with you. It cannot be put like a Hitler system in place where it has to happen. It's just that we are there if you need us in this time. So that is the approach you've taken, and I am agreeing with you that what you're saying is the right version of it, and that is working for us also on the ground. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Abhinav and I head the talent acquisition at iCertis. Coming back to this question of attraction, when we recruiters, when we have a lot of candidates in our pool, we are flirting with them and they are flirting with us. When you make them an offer, you get into the courtship. Correct? And when they join you, it's eventually you got married. Now, I would like to ask you if there are any different sort of experiences you create for them during the interview process or even during the onboarding, which might, attract them to come and join you. For example, I was hiring engineers, and what I realized is that I don't have too many interviewers. They were busy in their own schedule. So what I did is, instead of having 5 candidates go through 5 rounds of interview, 25 man-hour interviews getting invested, I called all 5 of them together in a room. I gave them a problem to solve in 5 hours, and eventually I found the candidate which I want to hire. So my time also reduced. And people also like this experience, candidates, because they're like, I'm done with all the interviews, all the assessment just within a day. So I want to know from you if you have any sort of other experiences which you would like to talk about, which have actually worked for you guys. Thanks.
So first of all, if you are able to put them for 5 hours for assessment and they stay there, you should hire all of them. Because they are going to stay with your company, for sure. But anyone wants to answer that?
Different sort of strategies for onboarding. What we do is, like, for example, in my organization, I lead one of the module which is hire, train, and deploy, where we on behalf of organizations who are looking for right sort of talent, right sort of candidates from for the organizations, we onboard them, which is the mobilization strategy. Now, nothing different sort of strategies that we do. It's basically hire right sort of talent from right locations. Like for example, we also hire talent from places like Trichy and Salem. Not only cities like Pune or Mumbai, but we also go to places where basically candidates are desperately looking for a job, and I think from there you basically get right sort of for talent for the organization.
एक ही नहीं है
Mridula is talking about, Mridula is my ex-boss, and she has interviewed me, and yes, I still remember that day, Mridula, when I came for an interview, and where everyone was around me, and that is when you came, and we sat for an interview. Well, while interviewing, the right, I mean, what I look for is the right attitude. Because I think, rightly said by Puneet and my colleagues, earlier that skills can be taught, but attitude cannot. So I look for right attitude, and the organization that I work for, Global Talent Track, we work for HTD modules, and we work for CSR modules for corporates, and I look for an if I look for the skill set, wherein when I see whether that person is really desperate, for the modules that we are working for. So these are the two skills that I basically look, and that is how I ensure that we hire right sort of talent, which will help my organization, and which will help my organization to meet their goals.
I have a question for all four of you. Like the ma'am here, mentioned words like, overselling, and, now you mention attitude and generation gap and everything. So out of experience, I run a small recruitment firm. New people, like even if an iOS developer, Android developer, just starting the career, things like ethics and morality, like we were discussing 2-3 questions back, is totally missing. So, do you think in a stream like IT, technology, engineering, a subject like work ethics and morality should be introduced? Because these people, they step in the market and they are clueless what they are expecting, and they make us bongers, what we have to give them. So, because they are needed in the supply is needed in the market, but the demand people are clueless, like how to entertain them basically.
All right, we'll consider this as the last question. I think Chitiz, you can go ahead and take this. We can then close up the attract session. Yeah, which is why I was.
So sadly, I'm not going to give you an answer, but I can just give you my 2 cents on this. That I feel that this Android developers you spoke about, and I hope no one's in the room right now, but this morality exists in all of us. It's just getting clouded because of the whole market dynamics which has been created. It's not like that Android developer doesn't have human, or he doesn't want to have fun at work, or he's only looking for a compensation and looking for 12 hours of coding. It just got clouded somewhere, and collectively it's our job to get that out. As Mr. Ganesh said that, love. I still feel, how do you create love in these times of likes? That we all are going for this LinkedIn likes and likes and likes. How do we scale love, sir? I would love to, delve about that, and that's all we have to bring it out, to these guys, because they all have it. It's just being clouded with the market dynamics which is being playing right now, and sadly we are part of it. They will grow up one day, ma'am. We'll be here, and we'll all will grow up one day.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. I think this was the last question. Of course. Thank you so much.
Flowers, bouquets.
Well, it's rightly said that leaders are ordinary persons with extraordinary determination, and we have these 4 leaders in front of us, extraordinary determined people in front of us. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a huge round of applause. That was amazing panel discussion. We are highly thankful to all 4 wonderful people out here. Thank you, Mr. Amit Bhosale, Director Operations at Global Talent Track. Thank you so much, Mr. Puneet Kansal, founder at Mania. Thank you so much, Chitiz, CEO at Tequila Global Services. And thank you so much, thank you so much, Mohit. It's famously said that it's not a matter of changing our landscapes, but the changing of our eyes. Thank you for changing the way we see. Thank you so much for being here. On behalf of everyone here, I thank each and everyone.